and welcome to this episode of installing GitLab Community Edition package onto a RHEL variant. In this case, we're going to be dealing with Alma Linux, but these steps will work very well for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, CentOS, CentOS Stream, and also Rocky Linux, which is a new fork of the project CentOS. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is make sure that we execute all commands with sudo in front, because we need to have escalated privilege for everything we do, and using sudo in front of the main command is the appropriate action to take. So we're going to install some yum utils and the package epel release, and that will set us up for success. So let's do that. Sudo dnf install yum-utils epel-release, and we'll hit enter. Provide my password. Yes, we want to install these. Shouldn't take very long. Okay, great. Next thing we're going to do is open up a browser, which I'm going to just pop open here. And we're going to want to go to a page that I have saved my bookmarks. Up in the right corner, change bash scripts to manual installation. Further down, we'll change deb to RPM. Scroll down a little bit. So we just completed this step. And we're going to need to create a file in Etsy, yum.repos.d. We don't necessarily need to use explicitly the exact same name here. This is just a file name reference, but it's not critical. We will just call it gitlab-ce, GitLab repo. And I'm going to vim the file, and then I'm going to copy in these contents that you see here in this section. Switching back to the terminal, sudo vim /etsy /yum.repos.d gitlab.repo. Get the file open, go into insert mode, pop open the browser again. I'm going to grab this text from bottom up, grab this top line, we'll do a copy, and then we'll do a paste. Perfect. We're going to escape and quit. And one of the things we need to do actually is change a couple of references in this text that we just copied in place. Because we are dealing with Red Hat 8, we need to change everything in here that says EL6 to EL8. So let's do a search for 6. Found a bunch of them, so we can't just do a global search and replace. We're going to do a targeted replacement for EL8. And then we'll do the same thing down here. And to see any other references for EL8, no, it's bottom of the file. The only other 6s in this are going to be references here and here, so we are set. Save these. Okay, perfect. All right, so the next thing we do is run some more commands to make sure that the repo file is appropriately configured in terms of permissions and mode and SE Linux contexts. So we'll do a sudo ls-lz and /etsy /yum.repos.d and the GitLab file we just created. And that's 600 because of the permissions here are read, write, no execute, and no more read, write to execute. So we got to change that. How do we know? Well, let's take a look at the other files that are in this directory. There we go. So all the other files have 644. And the SE Linux context is system U for the user context. We have unconfined U, so we need to fix these things. So chcon-u system_u. We'll provide the file name. Oh, forgot the sudo command. Sudo chcon-u system U, and we'll provide the full path to the file name. And there we go. That's one part fixed. And then we need to also do a sudo chmod 0644 of the same path. So I will copy it and paste it and hit enter. There we go. That's the first thing we need to do. And then the next thing we should do is some config manager work. I want to clear the screen first. So I'll do sudo dnf config-manager, and we're going to do -- disable and then I'm going to make my life a little bit easier here. I'm going to backspace all the way. I'm going to do a sudo cat on that file we just created. yum.compose.d gitlab, there we go. And what I need to do is disable this repository right here. We're actually needing this reference, even though these are explicitly the same set of text. But in the case you ever modify a file, or rather run this command, you need to make sure you're using the name equals reference. So in a case, our name equals reference is gitlab _ gitlab -ce -source. So again, sudo dnf config-manager -- disable. Then we will provide a copy of this reference here. There we are. And that's done. After that, we need to run the dnf command with the option of make cache and disable repos and enable one specific repo. So we will do a sudo dnf -q make cache, without the typos of course, -y -- disable repo equals single quote asterisk single quote -- enable repo. We will specify the one we do want configured in, and do that. Here we go. And we'll grab this name up here. This is the one we want. It's not a sources references. It's actually a fully built RPM repository. Put the closing single quote. Now we hit enter. Perfect. So we pulled in some new GPG keys by doing this command. We disabled a whole bunch of repos so that we can have just GitLab enabled at the time. And now we can run the next couple of commands, which is configuring the firewall before we do the actual software installation and configuration steps. So sudo firewall -cmd -- permanent, no typos, -- add -service equals HTTP. So you can now port 80 traffic into this machine. We'll do the same thing and add letter S, so we can allow port 443 into this machine. And we're done with that. And we'll do a sudo firewall -cmd -- reload. And now what will happen is by running these two commands and then running the -- reload option to the firewall CMD, we have added this to the permanent stack, added this to the permanent stack, and then committed them into the file with this. Otherwise, we're just simply adding them into the running copy, the memory copy of the firewall configuration that's presently in the running state. Okay, so the next step we're going to do is type up the command for installing the actual GitLab Community Edition product, and that'll be easy. We just need to make sure that whatever we use as the URL for our host name, that we use as our reference in a variable that we're going to preset to the execution of the installation of GitLab. So we go to cat the /etc/resolve.conf, because I know this machine is on the network and it has access to the internet and it needs to be resolvable. And so here, we got my host name in the prompt, and then this is my DNS suffix, which is not standard, but it's mine and it does work. So the idea is I will use A8-gitserve period snailhide period lab as my argument for the URL to be built when installing GitLab. So here, sudo external underscore URL in all caps, =, single quote, http:// because I don't have a CA server in my lab here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave this running on port 80 and not be concerned about 443. So again, the URL I'm going to build it is based on A8-gitserve. Copy, paste, hit the period, and copy the rest of this URL into place. Copy, paste, close the single quote, space, DNF, install, and then the name of the package is gitlab-ce, and hopefully this will run through without any issues. We're checking EPEL, looking for whatever we need. And this is for mapping dependencies with the installation of the GitLab-ce package itself. So this process may take a few minutes because we're dealing with internet bandwidth from my home, which sometimes is not always perfect, but it's pretty good. And I'm just going to hit the enter key here and show us some life. And hopefully this will move pretty smoothly. Now this process can take a little while, so it's going to be a good idea to watch this process execute. This is not just enough here because this is actually just downloading the package. But at some point, you need to turn around and extract the package and install the package and configure it with basically this URL, which is substituted into the external underscore URL variable inside of one of the configuration files that is used to instantiate this GitLab server that we are building presently. All right, we're making more progress here. We can see the percentage here is changing, so that's a good sign. All right, so the GitLab underscore GitLab-ce package is being installed, and no, we just had an issue. Great. This worked perfectly fine for me yesterday, and today it's not. I think what happened was I probably got a little bit impatient with hitting the enter key, and I must have hit enter, and the default was no, so I'm going to do this again. So this teaches us to be a little more patient while we're running this command. Let's try this again. And we won't hit the enter key at all until we see these prompts come up so we can hit yes. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is actually put a -y in the end so I don't have to worry about answering yes to these prompts. And hopefully this single -y will answer yes to both prompts. We'll see. I don't mind showing you errors so that you can have an idea of how to recover from them if you have to recover from them. So it's good to see errors. And there we go. We're actually installing the package presently and downloading the package so we can install it here. And again, this process actually does take a few minutes because after the package is downloaded, then it has to be extracted and all the components installed in the right place. And then there's the actual configuration processes that all happen automatically. So we can see that the download process is still running. We're clicking up on the percentage of how much of the package has been downloaded successfully, 40, 41, 42%. You can see that the time for estimated completion for the download is cranking down from 241, 240, up and down, so we're still downloading. It's not a problem. I'm going to be quiet for a while, and what I may end up doing is clipping this part of the download process out of the main video that you're going to see, so that way you don't have to wait a full 15 minutes, 20 minutes for this whole thing to complete. And you don't have to listen to my annoying voice for these comments. I'll just cut to the chase after this video completes, and then I will show you more information, and then we will demonstrate how to log into the URL with a browser on this machine, and also where to find the default factory installed root password after this is completed. So that's going to be something else we'll show on the screen as the rest of this process completes and the recording that is being completed or executed right now. All right, so as I said before, about a few minutes ago, the process will be completed in terms of download and then installation. Oh, here we go. The GPG keys this time around actually were successfully installed. So I had just interrupted the process by hitting enter a couple of times in the last part of this recording. Very frustrating. Didn't know I had screwed it up, so I apologize. But at least you get to see what not to do and then how to recover from it, which is essentially, in this case, just run it again and answer -y. So the scriptlet has already executed and the package is being installed presently. So it's running another scriptlet. So this is must be the post install scriptlet, and the one before was the pre-install scriptlet, which is good. My thoughts are that what's going on presently in the running scriptlet presently, the post install scriptlet, is it's probably taking the value we set to the external URL and substituting it in for what it presently has for the external URL inside of the Etsy GitLab gitlab.rb file, I believe is the name, which is how when the machine reboots or when the service gets initiated to start up, it will know what URL to listen for. So this part of the installation process obviously takes a while. I'll probably end up clipping these few minutes of time so as not wasting your time watching this video. So this is taking quite a while, and while it's running in the background, I'm going to open up another tab and see if I can determine what is going on, if anything, right now. And we see Opta's GitLab embedded bin Ruby is doing some stuff, and there's a Postgres database running. Nginx is running. So we can see that the installation is still running according to that. We executed it as root, and the process is still running. And this is the parent ID, and this is the child process. This process kicked off this process. And if we could just trace a whole bunch of scriptlets that are being executed and running right now. But we are actually running. We're not actually, oh, it actually completed. Perfect. Okay. I was digging around and here we go. So basically what they're saying here is everything looked out perfectly. You need to get the root password for the application account called root for the application called GitLab, which is one we just installed. So we need to get in here and find the root password. And the root password is going to actually look like a password hash. So let's go ahead and cat that file out. I'm going to come up here, highlight it, copy, and then I'm going to come back down here and paste. I'm going to do sudo in front of this just in case that's a root-owned password, root-owned file rather, which it probably is. And the sudo password kind of cache timed out, so we're going to provide the password one more time. Okay, this long string that actually looks like a password hash with the equal sign, uppercase and lowercase letters, and numerical values, and of course the single special character in here. This is the actual password for the account called root. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm going to open up the browser. I'm going to open up another tab, close this tab, and I'm going to try and hit the website, http://a8. Make sure we get the right typing in here. Git serve.snellhide.lab. Hit the enter key. And the very first time you log into this, because you have to create accounts for everybody and groups for everybody that you want to have access to this tool, you need to log in as root first. So here I'm typing in the root password, root account. I'm going to paste, make sure I actually got the make sure I actually did get the password copied. So right click and do the copy, go back to the browser, here we are, left mouse click and paste. There we go. I don't want to save this password. I actually want to replace it with a newer one. Okay, first time logging in. I really don't care about this presently. I can go back and update it myself when I'm ready. But I'm going to change the root password to something different than that really long hash, which doesn't make sense to me. I don't need to set the status. It has nothing to do with changing the password. I'm going to go into, I think it's edit profile. Yeah, edit profile. Here we go. Okay. And do we see anything in here? No. No, 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 no. Expand this. Go to the account tab panel here. Change username? No, don't do that. Delete the account? No. Well, let's figure out where do we change the password. Oh, user settings, password. There we go. So I got to paste in that long hash-like password, and then I come up with my own. You would do your own, whatever password you want. I'm not going to take this security generated password and then try and remember what that is, and then store it in the browser. I'm going to create my own password. And I'll type it in again. Make sure I don't typo it. There we go. And hopefully I did it twice correctly. And I'll do the save password. This time I will do the save just in case. And let's try logging in as root. Okay, and hopefully my password worked. Sign in, and that did work. I'm going to go ahead and do update to make sure it stores the password, even though I will very rarely use this account. But this is essentially what I wanted to show you how to do And I'm going to check to see if there's anything else in my notes. All right, so the final thing is to show you what the name of the process is. And that we go back to the CLI and we will take a look. We'll do a system CTL command, and I'll pipe egrep, and I'll look for anything that has the term git in it as a service name. And we found one specifically that we care about, and that's this gitlab-run svdir.service. Now, let's check to see if the service is 1, configured to start on the next reboot, and 2, configured is actually running presently. Well, duh, we just saw the web browser is up, so we know it's actually started. But let's run our systemctl command, again, prefix with sudo, and we will run status subcommand, and then we'll provide it this long name. You can do this or the entire thing. I'll do the entire thing. Copy and paste. With the enter key, prompt me for my password again because of cache timed out, and here we are. So we can see that this is the name of the service we were targeting, what it means in English exploration, where to find the configuration for it in user live systemd system, gitlab-run svdir.service. It is enabled, which means the next reboot it will start. And of course we can tell the process is running presently. All right. Oops. And the vendor preset is disabled, but we wanted it enabled, so it happened by way of not the vendor GitLab, but the person who built the GitLab package, which really was GitLab. So that's kind of confusing. And there's a whole bunch of other processes running presently, even Grafana. So pretty cool. We are done with the installation, and the next set of videos related to GitLab will be about more administration that the root account will do for you, and maybe even setting up some other users, human named users like W French, for example, and making them administrators. And I'll show you videos on how to do that as well. But for the time being, this video has come to an end. Thank you for watching.